Hello there, and welcome back to the Codex. So, I'm in a bit of a situation here. These 20 heavy gunners all around me are attempting to kill me, but unfortunately they're not able to because this Garuda build is functionally immortal. Part of that, as you can see, is Gloom. They are moving hilariously slow. The max 95% slow, in fact, if we go look at the ability. Yeah, 95% slow. But you'll notice that if I turn this off and I lose all of my health, let me get my energy back first. Well, for one, we have Arcane Aegis on as well, so still don't die. But also, once this Aegis finally wears off and I stop being immortal... Come on, guys, kill me, it's your only job. Well, there goes Aegis again. As you can see, Aegis is a pretty good defensive layer on this. 3, 2, 1. There we go. Now they're hitting my health. But once they drain all of my health, they then have to go through my energy pool, which, as you can see, appears to be pretty tanky. And whenever I feel like it, I can turn Gloom right back on, lifesteal myself back to full health, use her third ability, and I'm now also back at full energy. So this build's hilarious. Let's go ahead and take a look at it. So first of all, the Archon Shards that I'm using 2 Tau-Forged Health Shards, so this adds 450 health to the build. 2 Tau-Forged Casting Speed Shards, which for this version of the build, it doesn't actually matter at all. We'll get to that later. And then 1 Parkour Velocity Shard, because Parkour Velocity makes every frame feel better, so why not? Getting into the actual build here, this is a very expensive, but very, very tanky, triple umbral, super health and energy tanking Garuda build. So between those health shards and triple umbral, you can see we have 1,486 health and a whopping 1,176 armor, which is then multiplied further by adaptation up to another 90% DR. And we have Arcane Aegis on, so that we have a chance whenever we take shield damage to get that 12-second regen, which functionally makes you immortal for 12 seconds due to how shield gating works. We're also utilizing Combat Discipline plus Arcane Avenger to keep this triggered constantly for the massive damage bonus that getting that 45% flat crit chance provides. So, Quick Thinking is not a mod you usually see on builds, but on this build in particular, given the synergy that she has with Bloodletting and Gloom, basically letting you infinitely cycle health, which you can then cycle into energy from Bloodletting, Quick Thinking basically turns this 912 energy pool into massively more health. Because keep in mind, this is not 912 health. Quick Thinking, when it says 240% efficiency, it means that 1 point of energy is worth 2.4 points of health, and armor still applies to it. So this 912 energy is functionally an additional over 2,000 health on top of the almost 1,500 that we have right here. So exceptionally tanky, both in terms of the amount of damage you can actually take, but also between Aegis and the 95% slow from Gloom, a lot of the time you won't actually be taking damage anyway. And when you do, again, that Gloom immediately lifesteals you back up. So big synergy. You saw the really tanky version of this build. I'm going to show that one more time just for a couple minutes here in a survival, but then we're going to show a version of the build that lets you bring us back to the good old days of spamming AOE weapons. But first, let's go to Elite Deep Archimedia, the first mission of this week, and show you that this build can survive even there. So here we are at the Elite Deep Archimedia screen. Any time that one of my weekly frames that they decide to give me is Garuda, I am always immediately happy because she makes EDA so easy with her survivability, her damage, and her energy generation. This guy will not stop yapping. There, but finally. Anyways, so I'm leaving on all of these damaging modifiers. The one that makes me lose damage when I jump. Every time I cast an ability, it hurts me. And I gain puncture status whenever I take damage. The only one that I'm going to leave off is the powerless one. That way, of course, I can actually showcase the powers. Although, fun fact about this one, if you have issues with getting the 50 kills to allow you to use your powers with this modifier, make sure that you use your Railjack crewmates, ideally with the Kuvazar. Their kills count as yours for the purposes of doing this challenge. So if you throw out a super juiced up Kuvazar wielding crewmate and they start blasting guys and they immediately get 50 kills, those 50 kills will count for you, and you'll get access to your abilities much faster. It's a fun fact for you. All right, so I'm going to hop into this first mission, this Alchemy, which has holding an Am4 hurts me. There's Luminous that try to kill me, and all enemies deal, well, they actually deal less damage, but they have extra attack speed, so basically the same, you know, kind of DPS. Let's hop in here, and I'll show you how easy it is to survive in an EDA with Garuda. So we're in the mission. We got the Luminous chasing me. Let's go ahead and pop Bloodletting, pop Gloom. Now that Gloom's on me, get lifesteal. We went down. That's okay. Just go into your operator. Things happen. Not even going to cut that out. Doesn't matter. Again, pop Bloodletting, pop Gloom. Start hurting guys, and now we're at full life thanks to Gloom, which means that we can easily pop Bloodletting. Get our health back, pop Bloodletting, so on, so on. Get yourself to max energy. And now once you have this going, you're good to go. Really funny thing about Gloom, especially a max 95% Gloom, is that the Luminous are affected by it. So in EDA specifically, this build has the really funny effect of basically making these guys just not an issue at all because they can't catch you. We also do plenty of damage because, again, we're using Avenger on the build. And, if I didn't mention this, her passive is perhaps one of the best passives in the game, if not the best. Basically, as long as you kill fast enough, she gives you up to double damage. As you can see, Garuda's damage temporarily increases with each enemy she kills to a maximum of 100%. That's multiplicative, so that's literally doubling your damage, and that applies to both abilities and your weapons. So we have a double damage multiplier from her passive, and we have Avenger on, so we're doing loads of damage. You can see I'm absolutely shredding these guys with the Phantasma here. And they cannot kill me, both because they most of the time can't hit me, thanks to Gloom and Aegis, and then when they do hit me, I'm way too tanky for it to bother me. You can easily go through any EDA like this. None of the modifiers are going to affect you. If you have a negative, energy impacting modifier, doesn't matter. You make your own energy. You have a health modifier, doesn't matter. You generate your own health, and you're way too tanky. Any kind of tankiness enhancement to the enemies also doesn't matter because you do way too much damage to care. Now, speaking of damage, there is a slightly different version of this build for extreme AOE spam like the good old days with a augment that Garuda specifically has access to. So let's showcase that. So we're back at the build screen here. Again, this is the build that you just saw and that we started off with, just the super infinite tank build. There's a slight variation we can do though. If you drop adaptation for Bloodforge, this makes it so that whenever you use her Bloodletting augment, which we're using very often, it automatically reloads any weapon you have. Now, unfortunately, this doesn't work like Sight's ammo packs, in which the ability gives you ammo. It only causes a reload, so it's still using the ammo from your ammo pool. So in order to really benefit from this augment, you need to use a weapon that has plenty of ammo, but a really slow reload. That way you can benefit from the instant reload, but you actually have enough ammo to keep doing this. And one weapon that comes to mind when it comes to AoEs, because of course, this augment allowing you to AoE spam is really funny, but most AoEs don't have enough ammo to benefit from that, like the Kuvazar, for example, is very powerful, but has very limited ammo. The Kuva Tonkor, though, has plenty of ammo in reserve. And this is the build that I'm currently using. It's a fairly normal build that you would probably expect to see, aside from maybe the Bane. And you definitely probably wouldn't usually see the Prime Magazine Warp. The reason why I'm using this is because this takes a magazine count from 1 to 2, so I can fire twice before having to Bloodforge instead of every single shot. And again, since her passive ability doubles your damage, you can easily afford to drop a mod for this magazine capacity mod and still do way more damage than you need. And we still have Arcane Avenger on top of that. So again, plenty of damage. Let's hop into Conjunction Survival and showcase how funny this is. All right, so here we are. Let's go ahead and get this survival started. First things first, turn on that Gloom. There we go. Get that energy cycle going. And just like that, you're at max energy. And we gotta get those first few kills, of course, to stack up that galvanized chamber. But once that's done, and once you get her passive going, as you can see, tonk, tonk, bloodlet, tonk, tonk, bloodlet. You can just spam these Tonkor rounds and absolutely flood the field with AoE shots. Very funny build. You could use this to speedrun exterminates, for example. And again, thanks to Gloom, even though we're constantly bloodletting and we're constantly hurting ourselves with combat discipline, we're not going to die from it. So this really is, you know, it's just several layers of synergy and tons of damage. Any other weapon that you can think of that has, again, a really slow reload but plenty of ammo can benefit from this. Another really good one would be the Trumna, for example. The original Trumna especially had a 5-second reload, I believe, so that is super long. Taking it from 5 to instant made that weapon feel much better. The Trumna Prime, I think they buffed it from 5 seconds down to only being 4 seconds, but 4 seconds is still one of the longest reloads in the game. So taking that again from 4 seconds to basically instant also feels very good. And any other weapon you guys might be able to think of that could benefit from this, you know, instant reload spam could be a really fun build on her. And the only thing that you're sacrificing is adaptation. The build, aside from that, is the exact same as the first build. So yeah, that's about it. I will wait until an Acolyte spawns in, so again, per usual, let's go ahead and skip the video ahead for you. That way, you don't have to wait. So before I wipe out this Acolyte, don't forget that, just in case you didn't think she was tanky enough, you can also use her first ability to give yourself your Dread Mirror, which makes you completely immune to all projectiles in front of you. Why, hello there, Violence. Why are you immortal? He might nullify me. There we go. Now that he's taking damage, and just a few tonks to the Tonkor, and he's done. No problem whatsoever. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this build. If you did, leave a comment below. Let me know what you think of it. If you haven't subbed already, and you think that I've earned it, I would really appreciate you subbing to the channel, because we are super, super close to 10,000 videos. Not 10,000 videos. 10,000 subs. We're nowhere near 10,000 videos. Whoops. But yeah, hopefully you guys liked it, and I will see you in the next one.